Everything around us is being shaken up, whether it's monetary policy or inflation or government or energy policy or, of course, working from home, work policy, social policy. I mean, it's safe to say the next 10 years are going to bring more changes than pretty much any time before, 100 years before, I usually say. Yeah? As essentially every business is being redone upside down, not just because of COVID, but because of all of the advances that are happening all around us, all of the changes of technology. We're looking at essentially new paradigms, new priorities, new narratives, new people, new skills, and that's happening all around us. Look at what happened in Germany, for example, with the switch from the Merkel government to the new government, completely different course, and now with the war in the Ukraine, the first time that Germany is going to put a lot more money into the military, all happening within a few days. Basically, we're in permanent VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, and that is not going to change. Now, as people are looking at me and saying, what are you talking about? The future is going to be good, the good future, the future better than we think. No, it's really the other way around. You got it wrong, because we're looking at things like the war, of course, a very, very big burden on all of our souls and realities right now. And of course, climate change, an unsolved problem that we are tackling quickly. I happen to think that COVID-19 was a test run for climate change. But yes, very, very big challenge for us. $100 trillion change paradigm. The inequality issue, making life more collectively good, especially in the US and in the UK, and I think to some degree also in India. And of course the question of dominating technology, where technology is essentially dominating our lives, and artificial intelligence seems to be like the ticket to the future that many of us cannot participate in very easily. And jobs are changing. Some jobs will go away forever because machines are no longer stupid. And that means a huge shift in education. It doesn't mean the end of work for us, but it does mean fundamental shift. So if you take this all together and you put them all together in a row, a lot of people, especially kids, well, compared to me, right, say roughly 18 to 35, they don't think the future is going to be good. Look at this statistic here. Part of that is also in India, and in Brazil, right? Basically, our family's security is threatened, humanity is doomed, we have destroyed the world, and we're not doing enough about it. That seems to be 16 to 25-year-olds, as you can see here on the top, are saying this. And then we have charts like this showing that many people around the world are saying that basically automation will take work from humans, especially here in South Africa, right, and Greece and other countries, but very, very big difference. I wonder what that would be like for India. But a lot of people are worried about this, right? Our machines going to drive, they're going to manufacture for us, they're going to fly airplanes, they're going to serve us at home, take care of our old people. Despite of all of this, I think the future is better than we think, better than you think. I don't know what you're thinking, but it's better than we think, right? I think really this is an important statement, because when we bring it all together, let's look at the arguments why that is the case, right? And so last year I made a movie about this called The Good Future, because I got tired of the bad future, Black Mirror and everything else, and Transcendence and Ex Machina and everything that we see humans. You probably know those TV shows. If you don't know about the future, don't watch these. They're just entertainment, right? So on The Good Future, there's 3 tickets to that good future. And that's very important, especially in your country, to remember. First, of course, digitization, technology. That's clearly a ticket to the future. We all know that. We all practice it. There's nothing new. But decarbonization, completely going green, making everything circular, sustainable, that is the number one thing to do in the next 10 years, and even, of course, after that. In 20 years, maybe we can even roll back climate change and through carbon sequestration and sucking the carbon out of the air. And the biggest challenge really is reformation. Economic, logical, human, societal reformation that says maybe we don't have to work 12 hours a day if machines can do the work. Maybe we have to distribute income better. Maybe we have to fix media. Maybe we have to collaborate better to deal with future pandemics. Very, very big discussion about the future of capitalism, sustainable capitalism, as Al Gore has said. All these things are much bigger hurdles, of course, than the other twos to the potential good future. Let's talk about digitization first. I mean, clearly, this is the ticket. Since COVID, everything has gone digital. Everybody's working from home, usually more than before. And prices are falling, right? Human genome sequencing falling rapidly, which means all of us can have their DNA sequenced, which I think will be godsend in the future for dealing with diseases. And computational algorithms and quantum computing is is in the wings, right? So we're talking about powerful computers, powerful diagnostics, powerful ways of solving diseases, and all that stuff is basically in this nutshell slide here, right? Exponential cost reduction pretty much across the board, whether it's panels for solar, whether it's battery storage, whether it's genome sequencing. I mean, we're talking about abundance here. We're talking about the possibility of creating new logic where technology gets cheaper and cheaper. Even in so-called developing countries, that is true. That's good news, but of course there is such a thing as too much technology. And the answer, of course, to the technology challenge is yes, we can. If you want to upload your brain to the internet, you can probably do that in 10 years. But this is the key question, and I think it's a crucial question for India. You will have all the tools of science and technology, but will you have the telos? The telos is the understanding, the purpose, the wisdom. Because, 10 years technology is basically unlimited. We can do anything we want. Then we have to decide what do we want and how we're going to distribute the collective benefit. Right now what you're seeing is a benefit of technology brings productivity up, but the wages are staying the same in many countries, and actually less work. So we have to think about an economic restructuring there, right? This is the most important thing about the telos. For example, here in the car industry, you can clearly see, yes, we can solve the problem of sustainable transportation. This was what I showed last year at IAA, all of the initiatives that are about mobility. It's no longer about cars, it's about mobility, right? Think about the shift that we have to undertake on so many levels. And it's also quite clear that, in a way, science fiction is becoming science fact. What used to be theory, 3D printing, right? Basically, in 10 years, we're going to have a hard time explaining how and why we ever lived without a 3D printer that prints our shoes and our orthodontic things that we need, or even our earlobes or our kneecaps, right? I mean, this is around the corner. It's been talked about for a long time, but it's finally here. And climate technology innovation is here in such a way where you can safely say this is the next big unicorn scenario. Right? And essentially the next 100, 200 unicorns will be in climate technology, Larry Fink said, from BlackRock Ventures. And I think this is the biggest opportunity in our lifetime to create a new business and to replenish the planet. So we need to put a lot of resources into this, and a lot of shifting of funding, and a lot of energy has to go into this when we talk about decarbonization, which is to get rid of fossil fuel. And this is actually palpable everywhere now. Like I said earlier, COVID-19 is a test run for climate change. And yes, the next 10 years will bring more change than the previous 100 years, because if we go exponential, we don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which will get us 30 steps across the room or the hallway. 30 steps exponential, 26 times around the world. Right? And we're at 4 now. We're in leaping it mode. 4, 8, 16, 32, 10 years, 256, and even faster than that, right? So that change is going to be fundamental. You have to understand this, especially when you have kids, when you're running large companies, what it means for the pace of change, right? Like in the fossil fuel economy, we're seeing this huge change already with energy, with protein, with transportation, with investing. The numbers are astounding, right? How quickly this is changing. And think about years ago when we, if you want to listen to music, you have to go to a concert, or maybe a tape, or maybe even a CD, right? And these days you push a button somewhere on, a mobile phone. And it's basically exponential change, new business models, mind-boggling differences. For example, when we think about food and agriculture, it's quite clear we're going to have cultured meat from the lab, and it sounds crazy, but I tasted it. It's not bad. It's entirely workable, too expensive, right? This is what's happening. We're going to be able to provide protein for everybody for a fraction of the cost. Bill Gates and Richard Branson are investors, and this goes along with vertical farming, which is a concept of having large farms and high-rises. Think about that for India. That is coming way too expensive right now, but automation together with big data and artificial intelligence will open the door to this kind of scenario of the future. Basically organic vegetables grown in a high-rise, distributed locally. Yeah, it sounds like a crazy idea, but it's happening, it's coming, and that means for global meat consumption, for example, we can have alternatives now. Like I said earlier, cultured meat, novel vegan meat replacement. You see here chicken burger from Memphis Meats that's already in the stores in the US and many other places, that is actually done from cultivated animal cells rather than actual animals. So really big principle, very important to remember, we're going from scarcity to abundance. Abundant food, abundant energy is coming, abundant possibilities. What is not abundant is the wisdom, and we have to work on that. This is the number one ticket for us. If we want a good future, we have to think about collaboration, we have to think about what we want, we have to think about governance, we have to think about how we make this a reality. Put the tombstone in the fossil fuel industry. And this is happening all around us. Coal is already more expensive than solar, and the numbers are clear. Look at the solar panels going towards zero again, and battery costs falling, and of course the cost of electric vehicles. Very soon, in a couple of years, will be going 1,000 kilometers or even 2,000, and the vehicle will be one-third of the cost of another vehicle. And we will have eventually nuclear fusion energy, which is maybe 10 years away. Some people say 5 years, maybe other 15 years, but it's coming. Energy abundance, think about this. Right? The next one is reformation. How do we change society so that we have a collective benefit? How do we look at a new logic that goes beyond profit and growth, which is pretty much killing us, as you can say, as you can see all around us. I mean, we're looking at basically the four revolutions that you already know: agricultural, 1,500 years; industrial, 150 years; the digital revolution, and the sustainability revolution. That is what's happening right now. Big blue, technology; big green. Green is the new digital. Think about this for a second, because that is why the future is going to be much better than we think, because we have the ticket for this. Right? The biggest challenge that we have for that good future is the Reformation. Now, how do we create a society that is well governed, where democracy can thrive, where our basic principles can thrive? This is going to be crucial to the process of building a good world, going beyond the profit and growth, good old Milton Friedman scenario. This is not working. And it has worked kind of, right? But now it's given us this, right? Rapid global temperature anomalies, and of course storms, and the rise of CO2. We've seen that story. This is the worst slide, or the best, you could say. Rapid increase in stock market values, little in human values, and none in environmental values, going towards zero. How can we live in a world where we have a lot more money, at least some of us, and the world is, the system collapsed, right? It doesn't make any sense. So now, the switch is apparent, especially also when we look at AI. You know, artificial intelligence has the key to provide a lot more enterprise power, make things faster and cheaper, but we're still going to need governance, and to figure out what humans will be doing when everything is done by AI, and how to control them. So the paradigm of the future cannot be profit and growth anymore. And 20 years ago, Elkerton talked about people, planet, and profit. And now I'm talking about people, planet, purpose, and prosperity. I like the word prosperity much better. You can touch it better, and it feels better, rather than just profit, which seems, you know, very old-fashioned. But purpose, right? Why are we doing this? Where is it going? What kind of future do we want? That is about purpose. And of course, purpose in the widest sense for human is usually happiness of a sort, right? But basically, we're looking at this future that's already all around us, the 4 Ps, whether it's the stakeholder alliance, whether it's the investment in renewable energy, whether it's all the new laws that are coming in with taxation, and whether it's in the conflict with Russia and Ukraine. You know, we're seeing a larger story unfold here. Nobody can be by themselves anymore. We all need to come together in one way or another. And we're seeing this all around us as a new reality that's also kind of tough to realize. The good future is this kind of moving target: people, planet, purpose, and prosperity. And this is why I believe that we can indeed have a good future. Because clearly what's happening now is we're seeing this old chapters are closing, whether it's the car industry, the farm industry, the food industry, and of course international relations. Business as usual is dead or dying, and we got to get used to it. There's a new business to be done. Right? Business as usual, yeah, that is kind of a ticket to the end, and we need to really look at what this means for us. For example, as I mentioned earlier, the new narratives include more women, more minorities. Look at New Zealand, look at Taiwan, look at Scandinavia, look at Germany, where the second in command really is a very young woman from the Green Party, right? I mean, big changes coming up. Here's a gallery of women behind me, but in all countries, that is going to be crucial to bring women back and forth, because now the unthinkable is the new normal, right? Unthinkable that we would have all this rapid change, like carbon tax. We're going to see a lot more carbon tax for flying an airplane, for eating meat, for doing pretty much anything. Unthinkable is the new normal. That's the new paradigm. Perpetual perma-crisis and perma-opportunity. I see a great ticket for us unfolding, new doors opening, new things happening. For example, the idea of a dividend of digital media, like on social media, getting media right and paying people for being part of it, and finding a way of not having it destroy democracy, whether that's Twitter or Facebook or anybody else, and actually paying people the benefit of technology. That would be an automation tax, for example. Right? Taxes are not the answer for everything, and nobody likes taxes. But we got to think about this. Are we going to build a system that is fair and equal? Reformation means working on our telos, on our understanding, the good old Greek word, right? And the purpose, the goal, the wisdom. That's what it means. 4 points on this. The 4 Ps. Clearly, that is the ultimate sort of doctrine, and what I sometimes call the future principle. Collaboration. We're not going to see a future at all without collaboration. What, food security, space travel, all of that is about collaborative efforts. And part of that is going to be about protecting what makes us human. And saying technology shouldn't be doing this. Maybe we shouldn't be uploading our brain or escaping into the metaverse just because it's available. And that is the first question that comes up everywhere. Digital ethics I talk about a lot in the past few years. But now I'm proposing what I call the Humanity Futures Council, a global council of wise people who think about the future of humanity. I think India would take a very prominent slot in this, right? So, as new doors are opening, old ones are closing, I see only really positive things that are becoming possible, painful positive things then. And as Barbara Hubbard said, she was a disciple of Buckminster Fuller, famous futurist, as we see the future, so we act. As we act, so we become. If you see the future as bad and as not having possibility, you will create that future. It's very important to think of the future as better than we currently are envisioning it, and to stop watching things that tell us that the future is bad, as social media likes to tell us, and many other things around us keep whispering in our ear. Let's stop asking the question about what will the future bring, as if it was fixed, as China or America bringing the future. It's not about that. The key question is, what do we want our future to be? What kind of future do you want for your kids? Do you want that to be a good future? Then you have to manifest it. You have to build it. You have to believe it's possible. I really believe the future is fundamentally better than we think. We just have to make the right decisions.